It's been a week.
Yeah.
Was sick.
That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a great way to bring back my jawline. I saw myself in the previous videos. So I was like, well, what can I do to get my jawline back? Let me go get sick.
He has said jawline like 4 times today. And it's just because I haven't heard it at all. Yesterday, where like we get our headshots back for the luxury photos that we needed to do. And I was like, hey, okay, I'm kind of thinking, like, here are the photos. Which one do you want for your new headshot? And he's like, that one. I was like, yeah, I think that one makes your jawline look good. Now I've heard nothing but jawline, my jawline. I'm losing weight, my jawline. I'm like, ugh. Every time you give a compliment to Mike,
sounds like someone needs to go work on their show.
Takes a mile out of a compliment. That's why
Hey, I paid you a compliment this morning. What happened?
You give lots.
Well, I passed along a compliment. I called him up and I go, how much did you pay him? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I regaling, so one of our vendors, we get into a conversation about how old does he think I am versus, and I'm kind of talking about that video we did about who looks their age. And we basically, after kind of meandering through all that, well, how old do you think Eric is? Because he's like, I don't know. I thought he was like 32. I was like, oh.
Yeah. There we
Here
go.
we go. So
because he said Mike was like 38.
Like,
and Mike was like,
I'll still take it.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, he's got that baby face. I was like, yeah, with all 6 hairs on his chin.
I would rather have like all 6 hairs on my chin than his 6 chins.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah. Well, so he's like, yeah, 32. I'm like, well, I'm going to tell him because he still needs to know.
Yeah.
But I can literally hear like his head getting bigger on the other end of the line.
I like to tell people I'm almost 40 because it's like, really? It's like, well, I mean, I'll be 37 this year, but it's like, why not have people like, wow, almost 40. You look good.
I think you look great. I just didn't think you looked 32 great, but that's fine.
Yeah. It's because you need glasses.
Here we go. Yeah, it was, but yeah, so got sick this week. That was fun. Right after Blair got sick. It was like 48 hours, and then I got sick, and then I got better, and then Clark started to feel sick. And it's just like this 12-hour bug you get. So.
Well, and the nice thing too, so last week it was like late starts or no school or whatever, and then this week is midwinter break.
Yes, it's like we did the math, and from the holidays to the beginning of March, our oldest will only be in school for 1 full week.
What?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Between the snow days, which were a lot of half days.
Yeah.
The week before that was all parent-teacher conferences all week, so all those days were half days. Then we start getting towards like the holidays. This week has midwinter break in it, but their midwinter breaks is like Thursday, Friday, Monday, not a week, like during the consecutive, like Monday through Friday kind of thing. And then we leave on a trip for a little bit. So yeah, we'll see you in March.
Our parent-teacher conferences in Texas
day.
were after school.
I remember that. That's what
They
I
were
remember.
like, you still went to school and then you had to stay longer because you were meeting with your teachers.
That's what I remember. I remember going to school at like 6
Not
o'clock,
like the teachers get a week off to like have parent-teacher conferences.
Yeah. Part of me is like, I'm glad I grew up in the generation that I did, but then I'm also like
missed out.
I'm like, these kids nowadays, like, I'll be like out and about, because I make my own schedule and I'll just be, I'll be editing at a coffee shop. And there's kids just middle of the day, definitely during the school year. I'm like,
these kids these days.
Shouldn't you be? I feel like that. Yeah, like grumpy old man. Like, shouldn't you be in school? Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Pretty soon you're gonna start dropping the whole like back in my day.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not quite there yet. But.
Yeah, you'll get there.
Mike's there. That's for sure.
I totally am there. I'll embrace it. It's like you guys need to toughen up. Start walking to school.
Well, I guess we should do the intro. Well, welcome back to Property Pairings with Eric and Mike.
Mike.
I did it.
Thank you.
What I think should be the correct way. Episode 3 this time. See, I can count. And we're excited you're here with us. So let's see what we can do.
I like your sweater today, by the way.
I know. Mike said he almost wore it.
How nice would that have been?
I'm still waiting for you to come in dressed as him and be sitting in his chair.
I'd have to
That's
bring
by
my
the time
entire
he goes.
Oh
wardrobe.
my. Okay. You know what? Maybe like closer to Halloween, we should do a flop skis, and I'll come as you, and you come as me.
I'm down, but I know how that's gonna go.
What?
Oh, I'm Mike. Look at me. I've stuffed my shirt with to give myself muscles, and I'm gonna come in and be like, my hair is gonna be, I have to grow my hair out, make it longer, put on some glasses, lots of.
Sure. Yeah.
I
I
feel like
don't.
a subtle way he just just complimenting his muscles and
I didn't think you'd pick up on that.
Yeah. Yes. Of course. Yeah, I'll for sure like overpack. It's gonna like think Johnny Bravo, but with darker hair. That's exactly what I'm gonna do for my.
I'm gonna have to wear. You know those costumes that sometimes people wear, like it's like they're riding a dinosaur or something, but they're like, and they've got like the fake legs hanging out. I'm gonna have to do that because I can't go crisscross applesauce.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have like.
Or you just start stretching a little bit, and by then you'll be able to sit normal. Well, I guess it's not a normal.
Thank
really?
you.
Like
No.
it's.
You can sit however you want. I just
I
know
know.
if I'm gonna try to do that, I'm gonna have to like either cut a hole in the bottom of that chair so I can just be from the waist up and some fake legs. I look forward to it. It'll be fun though.
No, I think so too. I already know exactly what I'm doing. It's
Do you?
Yeah.
In February. I already know.
Yeah. For
Okay,
sure.
I'm gonna have to give it some thought then.
Yeah, it's well thought out.
When I was watching the Madagascar movie, I kind of thought you were like that giraffe guy.
I've not seen that, so unfortunately, I don't.
Humor's a lot.
I don't have kids. And when I hang out with your kids, we don't really watch movies.
No, they just want to hang out with Uncle Eric. When it's me hanging out with them, what can we watch on TV, Dad? And it's like, no, we're not watching TV.
They're coming over tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, it is tomorrow. We do like our practically monthly
It's
now.
kind of a monthly thing,
Yeah.
yeah. And we always go there and thank you. It's just like our house is just chaos. And to go over to their house, it's so nice to just sit there and then they go play in the room, like the living room.
It's fun.
And you can see them. And obviously there's furniture in there, but it's like there's a lot more space in between, like where the dining table is versus the couch, and so they can roll out the whole piano.
It's like a huge playroom, and my favorite thing too is to like buy toys and hide them. And so it's like there's like this slight meltdown thing, and I was like, but did you look under the couch over there? And they're like, what? And they go under there, and there's just like 8 new toys.
And they're reasonably quiet most of the time.
So minus one, yeah. The piano. The piano from Big. That was more of a me purchase though.
Right.
Because it's a huge piano that you can jump and play chopsticks on, like Big.
No matter what you're actually doing, it still plays chopsticks.
Yeah.
So Clark rolled across the whole thing and it still worked. Anyways.
The problem is it's got a volume. And his kids, they love max volume. And so even though you turn it down, they're like, nope, max volume. They need the attention. I'm not sure where they get that from.
It's not me.
Not the lover of all of the attention.
Mike's like, this podcast wasn't my idea.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it was, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. all of the like.
The flashy, like, we have to do our next video, or the little. I just see something on Instagram, like, whoa, we got to do that.
Yeah.
Mostly because it's like I want to pick a situation where I know he's going to be uncomfortable, and I'm already uncomfortable, but I think it's fun. Let's do that.
Let's both be uncomfortable together.
That's how we bond. Yeah.
That's our bonding, the uncomfortableness.
Well, it's more for me than for you, I will be honest.
Yeah. I like the bonding where we have like a listing together and then we sell it and we make some money.
I like it where we match.
Fun bonding. You know what else is fun bonding? drinking our Glenlivet 21. That's fun bonding.
That's good. That's good bonding.
Really?
Awkward, uncomfortable bonding is your version of fun.
It does make me happy.
So,
but yes, this week was a pretty good week. Slower, quieter. We maybe picked up 2 listings a little bit further south. I'm going to check on that next week.
Yeah, some waterfront stuff. I got a call right before you came in here. So we have a listing appointment.
For where?
Kenmore.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. They saw my listing that I did for my friends.
Oh, up the hill there in Kenmore?
Yep.
Where they had the play structure?
Yeah. Yeah, so they saw that and they really liked it. And I already have dates for us to go on an interview with them. So they're in the middle of a remodel, but they're having to relocate to California. So they want some, like, we have high-end stuff that we had scheduled, but maybe we don't need to spend that much on it. So they're looking for a lot of feedback from us and like what they should do versus what they should
What's the most efficient use of the money? Yeah. Well, it's kind of like those people up in Edmonds. Or no, not Edmonds, Mukilteo area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Where that whole conversation around, like, what do we do with the bathroom?
Yeah.
Keep the bathtub.
Yeah.
I know you guys may not fancy having the bathtub there, but we're reselling it, so people will want a bathtub.
Yep.
So, what else?
Well, your other business.
Oh yeah, we got our first piece of income through the new business. It's been 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm. That's where it starts.
Well, yeah, one of the people on the team was talking about, it's like very few people, take a business from 0 to 1, and 0 to 1 being from like Post-it notes on a wall somewhere on a back of a napkin to like now you've made money.
Oh yeah.
A lot of times it's people will come into an existing business and then you do X, Y, and Z and you accomplish some sets of goals or build out some new product or feature or whatever, but the business is existing.
Yeah, this was like recycled paper on one side and like notes on another, taped on walls and like countless meetings. And so it's actually really, really cool. It's not like this exorbitant amount, but it's like the first. So like the ball has been rolling and now it's like, all right, now things are starting to pay off. The snow.
It's those milestones.
It's a little more than $1, but definitely a lot less than probably the check it was printed on. The value of the check that it was printed on.
No, it's not that.
But it was something, and you take those wins when you get them, and today was starting out a little rough, and the weather, late start, but it wasn't that late. The kids, one not feeling so well and not feeling so good, and then it's like, oh, okay, today's gonna be a little bit of a longer day, kind of a weird day, having to be in various different places and doing the dump run at a client's house to help them out. But yeah, to go to the P.O. box and that first check kind of felt like that first time you made money when you got your first job. You're like, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
All of that's going to disappear, but cool. I still made something.
Or like when you got your first commission check and you're like, you've already like when you have something and it goes under contract, you're like, okay. Or even sometimes before you're thinking, you're like, okay, I'm going to get this amount, blah, blah, blah. When you get your first paycheck though, you're kind of expecting this amount. You're like, okay, I sold $1 million property. I'm gonna get $30,000, and then you get your first check, and you're like, $10,000.
And you could have put in 6, 8, 10 months, something like that. Hours and hours of searching, coming back to things, revisiting, taking a break because we have to go do something, and all that time you're not making any money.
Yeah.
But you get that first check, you're like, wow. But then you're also so on those you're like, where'd the rest of it go?
Yeah.
On this one, it was well, we already knew it wasn't going to be very big, but still, it was cool to get your first one.
I'm a profitable business.
Yeah, look at me making money.
Yes. Yeah, no, we listened to Abby played some of your music. We thought it was good.
Yeah. I remember listening to you on her podcast with Claire one time.
Oh yeah, I forgot I even did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Wow.
Yeah, it was. It was like 2 years ago, maybe.
Was that because Abby's going to be in her late 20s? Was that when she was in her early 20s? It's been a running thing between us, and I do give her a little bit on that. But when I first met her to now, she's kind of progressed from early 20s into basically late 20s. She's like, I'm not late 20s, like, and who was it? Someone was like yesterday. It was like, isn't your birthday like next month or something? You're basically there.
Yeah.
And she's just like, not yet.
Yeah.
How would you guys categorize early, mid, and late?
20 to 23, 24 to 26, and then 27 to 29.
Okay, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
Like 0 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 8.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. So
yeah, that was good this week. That was a win. Thankfully, it came right at the end of the week, going into the weekend.
Yeah.
What else? What else happened this week? It was kind of a weird week, though. The weather didn't really play along.
Mm-mm.
People, there's whatever the crud that's floating around right now. People have been sick.
So many people. Everybody.
Everybody's been sick.
My nephew's got the flu again.
Yeah.
Second time in like a month and a half.
I don't think it was the flu.
It was the norovirus.
This was like a hint. It wasn't as bad as you explained it when you had
When I had it previously. Yeah, this one was like 12 hours.
Yeah. It was just like.
Well, the worst symptoms were 12 hours, and then you still don't feel 100% the next day.
Yeah.
But then you layer on like nobody was listing seemingly last week because of all the snow, and now you had this influx of listings this week, but then kind of hearing next week's going to be pretty crazy too. So
yeah, because people are waiting because this weekend is President's Day, so it's 3-day weekend. They're like, are people traveling?
Mm-hmm.
So we saw a lot come on this week, but a lot of offer reviews are all on the same days. They're on the 17th and the 18th, and it's like when you have that many, I don't know. We never really like to compete against other people, so lots of people will do whatever the 17th, 18th is, that Monday and Tuesday. We've done offer reviews on a Sunday. It's like, okay, well, we're going to have everyone offer on our place first, or we'll do it a day after everyone else is doing it.
One of my big pitches, when I first met Eric, was be where our competition isn't, right? So, and you think about a pendulum swing, and most people will tend to follow where the pendulum is swinging to. Well, if you're following to it, wherever it's going, you're not there yet. Okay, well that's fine. But you are lagging behind wherever the trajectory of the market is being. Okay, fine. But knowing that at some point everyone will be there. Well, okay, but why don't I be out ahead of the pendulum instead of being following behind it? So I've always said be where our competition isn't. So to that point, as an example, is like, yeah, when we list homes, we pay a lot of attention to what's going on with the movements in the market at this time of year, the weather, if people are sick, holidays, whatever, and then we adapt our listing and review timelines based upon that. So to Eric's point, if everybody's landing on a Monday or a Tuesday for a review date, people can only write one offer on a home.
You
can write more, but if you
get two homes, you're under contract.
You got a problem.
Yeah. So, I've never written a contract, and Mike's never written a contract where you're like, there's 2 offer review dates on the same day, and you've written a contract for both homes. It's not. I don't think that's ethical, but that's.
It's not, and you run a lot of risk there unless you're willing to give up your earnest money.
Yeah.
If you were that lucky to get both homes, you're in big trouble. So we have to pick. Well, that's usually how the conversation goes, is which one do you want to, if there's 2 or 3 homes they really like and they're both reviewing at noon on a Monday, which one do you like most? And if we can find out really quick, maybe we can still get our hat in the ring on another one, but we need to know quickly. So this past week's been interesting. There's kind of some adaptive response that we're having right now. I'm going to go show a home here today. And the conversation, like we're, kind of adapting to what I think things are going to be tracing out. Like I told the client, they probably don't want to do an open house this weekend. Weather could be kind of crappy. They might want to just stay home. The sellers currently live at home. if we get something in, we could potentially put this to bed this evening. And I said this to her yesterday, and I'm on the phone with the agent today. He's like, I don't really want to do an open house.
Yeah.
So if the client likes it, we can lock this down today.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool house too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went and showed it because that will happen sometimes where it's Mike's unavailable. I mean, in that case, he was
still
sick.
recovering.
Yeah. So I went and showed it for his client, and that's part of the nice thing about having two agents. It's someone can't do something, so the other person steps in, and she's really cool too. We had like wine in common, so we're like talking about wine, and the house is really, I mean, it was just built last year. I think the seller's getting relocated or something.
Yeah. Her job, it allowed for her to go to a fully remote, and so they need more space. Great.
Yeah.
The house is in great condition.
You wake up and you see Mount Rainier.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
And you're in Ballard. So to see Mount Rainier from just waking up is awesome. Yeah. Really, really good location. Plenty of street parking. I liked it. If my husband and I were looking for our first home, for sure.
Something like that one?
Yeah. Yeah. I would have liked that a lot. As long as I could park up front. Because
it's kind of cliched and played out, but this idea of like a 3D chess or 4D chess, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you do have to think that way. And what we do for a living is, it's not just, okay, well, how much can we offer them and can we come to an agreement? You start to take into consideration other factors that are at hand here, and that's something that has been playing more now. We have this potential walkthrough next week on two lakefront properties, and the message from the seller is like, hey, Mike, we're not really sure what's going on in the market. We know we want to sell here soon. How do we handle what's going on? I'm going to talk to you about what, the normal stuff, what you need to do in the home, but like, here's the trajectory in the market, and here's the activity, and here's kind of where we see things going, and taking all that input in, all those inputs in, and then where do we land? That's kind of the path forward.
And I mean, traditionally, the last, it's 2025. So the last 4 or 5 years have been seller's market. As long as you're not like overpriced, sellers still control the market. So you just got to price it appropriately and present it well, and you're going to get an offer.
Mm-hmm.
Eric does a good job with that.
I love presentation. I love presentation so much.
He will take a home, and it will be something where I can come in and say, I've done this long enough. Like, I could see this kind of a chair here, this kind of a table there, and I want to see some certain kind of artwork here of certain scale. It's nice to have someone who you work with who can say, it's not just this certain scale, but it needs to be channeling this kind of vibe or energy because this is what this house needs. This is the kind of furniture it needs.
This is the buyer. This is who I think the buyer is of this home. This is who we're targeting. That part is really fun. It's like, okay, I look at your home. I'm like, okay, who's living here? Well, maybe it's an investment property, so we need to have tons of beds everywhere to show that this particular 2-bedroom home can sleep 8, because that's what you want in an Airbnb. You want to see sleepable spaces.
Yep.
And staging. I love staging. I don't stage, but I love walking through with our stager. And Kelly just goes through and she's like, yes, what are you thinking here? And I'm like, I need a day bed and a desk. She's like, no, I get it. And she goes, do we need any kind of kid rooms? And I'm like, yes, absolutely, we need this. But this one, I want more like a teenage room. And it's, I don't know. You just, maybe not you, everyone, but like I walk in, I'm like, oh yeah, this is, I can see it all. It's cool.
Well, because that helps you visualize the space, right? Me, when I walk into the home, maybe I've been doing it long enough, or my eyes go past that, and I'm like into the, okay, well, how do we fix this? How do we eliminate objections? And so that's where the complementary kind of component for us really works well. It's not like a jaded, but it's so much of my career was spent heading off those issues and making sure that, this goes to close. Staging is, the presentation, the marketing, that's huge components of it. But I didn't have the luxury to think about that stuff. I needed to think about how do we, especially in 08, 9, 10, 11, 12, when the market is like every lender's trying to sink every deal you're trying to do, it felt like. Is like, how do we make sure we get this to close is what I'm more concerned about.
Are they going to call out that missing baseboard 6 inches over there behind the door? Let's fix it.
I had one at one point where the seller, very nice gentleman, by himself, living at the home, a little lonely, and it was kind of a sad situation. Our appraiser showed up and he started to talk to the appraiser, and this isn't going to go well. So he starts sharing everything he knows that's wrong with the home. Now, we knew those things were wrong. We had done our pre-inspections, or done our inspections on the home, and we had a game plan of attack and how to deal with these things in the normal course of like taking possession of the home. We were ready to go. But because he decided to share that all with the appraiser now has to flag it all. And these now become conditions on the appraisal. In order to get a satisfactory appraisal, these things need to be remedied.
And appraisers aren't, even though you provide inspections to your clients, appraisers don't get those inspections. The appraisers don't get the seller's disclosures. So when they hear and see those things, then they're like, oh, okay, negative money, negative money, negative money. Or it's like, you won't be able to get the loan unless you fix this item.
They're not, they're not inspectors, but if they see something that's obviously a problem, they'll flag it themselves. But when you're like, hey, that space you can't see under the crawl space, there's some standing water there. They're not going into the crawl space. We already knew it was there. We got a plan to fix it. Now you've told them, now we have to deal with it. And so that was most of my career. Like, I had to call contract on that particular one. I was like, I need you here. They left other jobs to come fix this house. I had to pay for it up front to get it fixed so the client could still get the home.
Yeah.
That was not fun.
The inspector we've been using recently, the good thing about him is he knows VA loan requirements too. So he does a lot of inspections specifically for VA loans.
Yeah.
So whenever he's doing our inspections, he'll be like, yeah, just FYI, if you get a VA loan, the way that this is attached to the house, it should be this way if you want to avoid that. Thank you, Brandon.
That's where we need, that's where we're constantly revisiting our Rolodex of people. You know, if you've got someone who's got that kind of additional expertise, it's not that we jettison like all of our other inspectors, but this is a nice to have feather in your cap, someone who you can rely on. At one point, I had a phenomenal stucco inspector.
Oh, yeah.
That's hard to find.
Yeah,
he retired. I had, now I think I have someone else here that's lined up that's pretty good, but he was great. Now he was kind of long-winded, so he could tell you for half an hour how this was applied improperly. It's like, okay, great, but it's been applied improperly. We know.
Yeah.
I just need to know, like, give me an idea what this is going to take to fix.
Yeah.
But they're those kind of specialty people. We're constantly revising what we have.
I don't know, something about like
earnest money.
Is earnest money essentially like cash on hand versus like home loan, or what is that?
Yeah. So the concept of earnest money, if you're familiar with renting, there's kind of analogous to like security deposit, right? So it's there's a requirement as part of contracts, some very basic requirements in contracts, and one of them is that an amount of money that gets put up essentially like a collateral, a good faith. So, seller, myself as the buyer, I would like to buy your house. In lieu of you staying on market, as long as we can agree on terms, in lieu of you staying on market and being able to entertain additional offers, we come to terms, and as potential compensation for you, if I should, as the buyer, breach the contract, this earnest money would be the collateral that you could pursue if you found yourself back on market. Now, the thing with earnest money is, in highly competitive markets like what we're in right now, you're running into situations where the sums are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. When I started in the business, if you had, let's say, just using round numbers, $1 million house, if you had anywhere from 15 to 30 grand was normal to see for earnest money. And we're talking like 10 years ago or more. 15 years ago. And now 30 grand, 50 grand, 60 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand.
Wow.
People are putting down because it has morphed into, it's still earnest money, but it has morphed into this also bigger bargaining chip.
I'm going to buy your house. More so, like, they will release their earnest money.
Yes.
Which just means, hey, we have no contingencies in our offer. We will close on this. So as soon as we deposit this money,
It's yours.
escrow is going to put it into your bank account. So they're going to put 100 grand in your bank account in 3 days.
Well, I think I remember the other episode you mentioned some offers that you were like being like beat out on, and you had mentioned earnest money as well.
Yeah, we did 85 grand in earnest money releasing to the seller on one of the offers that I wrote that got 16 offers on it. And they had even more earnest money that was released.
It has become such a weighted component because you have your purchase price, and if you're financing a home on the buyer side, well, how much what's my down payment versus, what am I taking on as a loan? But from the seller's perspective, depending on how the offer is constructed, that doesn't really matter. They might want to know, are you trying to buy my house with 10% down or 50% down? They might want to know that, and usually they do. But if you're like, again, coming back to easy numbers, if it was $1 million purchase and you're saying we're waiving all of our contingencies, and if that's the case, there's nothing shielding your earnest money. So if there's nothing shielding your earnest money, then you might as well release it. Okay. Now, if a whole bunch of offers are doing very much the same thing, there's only so high people usually will go on price. You look at an assemblage of data points and you'll see that they land at certain points, and once in a while you'll get an outlier that goes way above, but most of the time they kind of cluster in different spots. So what else do you have to play with? How long is your close? How long do you take to close, and what's your earnest money? You did 30, but they did 50, and this one over here just came in 5 minutes ago and they did 200.
Yeah.
And if they're all the same, basically,
go with 200.
You'll go with the 200. We have one under contract right now that a home in the nearby could have gotten more. Eric actually talked to the listing agent on that. Could have gotten more than what they did, and they came on market in the morning and were off market that afternoon, like 6 hours on market, something like that.
Yeah.
And the agent was like, I could have gotten more, but the sellers needed money so badly that an offer came in that was a 200 grand earnest money released, like same day or within a couple of days.
Yep.
They needed the money. They were in such a hard place that they needed that money now. So rather than wait a couple of days, maybe get an additional 100 grand, but you wouldn't see that additional 100 grand for 30 days, 25 days. They took the asking price essentially, but with 200 grand in my pocket in 3 days.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And you never know someone's situation. That's why it's always important to talk to the listing broker because you have a conversation with them and it's like, hey, we're interested. Like, what's going on with your sellers? And a good listing broker wants to chat back with you and be like, yeah, here's where we're at.
This is what we need.
This is what we need. Sometimes it's a rent back. Sometimes it's this. And if your client really wants that property, that could beat out over a higher price. Because I had a listing earlier this year that we had another offer of a higher price, but the offer that I had no the other offer that we went with had no contingencies and it closed faster. And so they were like, I'm ready to be done. I need to cash out. So price isn't always the differentiator.
Well, the one we closed at the beginning of the year for me, the clients I was at this morning, we weren't the highest offer. We were close. In this particular case, it was there were 3 other offers besides our own, and the other 3 buyers were investors. And they made that very clear in their offer. They didn't intend to live there. They planned to use the home as an investment property. And we said, well, all we can share with you is that we do intend to live here. This is going to be these clients' homes. And that resonated with that seller. That someone who was going to take pride of ownership, so much so because they were planning to live on it. And the expectation being that if they're living there, they're going to love this home. And that got it for us.
Rather than short-term rental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a the sellers had a lot of emotional attachment to the home, and that was important to them. We could say, well, hey, here's what the value of wire fraud disclosures are. what?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we'll cover that ground later, but like as a general consumer, like, no, I want to know what earnest money is.
Yeah.
Why is that important?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure. It makes me wonder. I don't know if you watch The Office.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen The Office.
You know when Michael's like buying his first condo,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then Dwight starts to make him like second guess everything.
Yeah.
And then he wants to like back out, and then Carol's like, "If you walk away, you will lose $10,000 today." Is that
Yeah.
like same sort of
Yeah, exactly.
I want a price reduction or I am a walk.
You will lose $7,000 if you walk away right now.
I made the right decision.
money that's
Yes.
on the line.
Yep.
Yeah, and you say that all before,
Yeah.
right? You're telling your client, this money is the money that if anything happens that we're not covered for in the contingencies, you will lose. Just to be clear.
We'll try to fight it, but depending on how you're breaching the contract, and are there any potential outs that we could find in there? Like, there's no guarantee you're getting this money back. You need to be prepared to lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had a listing before where the buyers got cold feet.
Just to
and
be
lost.
clear, we were representing the seller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was a win for our seller. They got what, 50, 75 grand?
We could have taken them for the full 100.
Yeah.
But then the sellers also needed to keep moving on the sale of the home, so we took them for 50. We struck a deal, took 50, and then resold the home like the next day.
Yeah. Yeah. It was that was
Well, the buyer, yeah,
Some nice walking around money right there.
yeah.
the buyers had buyer remorse. They got caught up in the competition, and they're like, "We actually don't want to buy this at this price." Well, I hear you. I could see why that would be frustrating, but
That was my most probably one of the top 3 best properties we've ever listed. It was so
Really?
fun. I loved that house. It
Did
was
you?
mid-century modern on Mercer Island with a 9-foot pool.
by the way, we were doing that during when it was like 100-something degrees out or something like that, and the 3 of us are there, and something had gotten stuck at the bottom of the pool, and Eric's like, "Okay, I guess I'll dive down and get it." And Allison, she's like, we're doing like work all around the property, and Allison's like, "Well, I'm gonna clean the pool." So she just sat in the
Again.
pool the whole day and cleaned
Yeah.
the pool.
Yeah, she was just in the pool cleaning it, and we're like, "What?"
Okay.
No, the sellers
pretty
did.
sure-
The sellers asked me. They were like, "Hey, we really need to clean out that filter at the bottom," and I'm like, "Okay."
That's you.
And then it was just like, "Oh, got it."
Yeah.
Okay. So then I threw off the shirt,
It wasn't like that.
dove down, grabbed it. There wasn't even that much in there, but
But it wasn't like, like NBA starter suits where you just rip the button pants off. Like,
that'd be cool.
it was a little bit more effort than that.
Yeah.
But when I heard about it, he's like, "Yeah, I had to jump in the pool today." I'm like, I want that job.
I did have swim appropriate attire because I didn't know if I would need to clean the pool too. So, but that was a cool property. It had views of Lake Washington.
Nice.
I love a mid-century modern home, and they kept it to it's an original aesthetic.
But didn't they have that? Didn't they have also like the hidden door, like the bookcase? So it looked like a bookcase, and you pulled it, and there was an office.
Easy kind of thing.
Yeah, there's an office behind there. That
It
was
was
cool.
such a cool house. A huge wine room because she was a winemaker.
A distributor or winemaker? She actually made wine.
I think she made wine. Yeah.
I remember all we ever talked about was like distribution and all that. But yeah, she had,
Yeah.
I don't know, a couple thousand bottles there.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a cool property. That was so fun. So fun to hold open, and you had other mid-century modern enthusiasts coming through.
That was one of your top ones?
For sure, that's one of my top ones.
I like that house.
Yeah.
One of my favorite was the one on the river that we did 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah. That
You
was
just
fun.
walked in,
North
it was like it was one of those houses you pull up to, and there's like high fence and what it seems like overgrown on the fencing itself, and you can't really see anything. And once we had cleaned up the yard, you walk through the gate, and there's these like gravelly walkways up to and like little vignettes on the sides, and you're in this there was like a chicken coop that was L-shaped down the side, so the chickens were there, and there was a pizza oven over there. And you walk down and you can see that this had been added onto, and windows down looking at the river as it's going by.
Mm-hmm.
You went out on the deck and you kind of went this like almost kind of trail from the right side of the property across the face of the property between the house and the water to this little like bungalow detached one. It's not even a 1-bedroom. It was just a little like tree house.
Yeah.
It was a cool tree house.
And they had found windows, and they just random
Stained
assortment of
glass.
windows and just made fit the framing to fit the windows. And so there was just a bed in there.
Yeah.
And you could sleep in there, and the river would put you to sleep at night. Like that, I thought was one of the
you could
coolest
walk down to
houses.
the river really easily. Yeah, that was cool.
We did take a couple photos down there where we were like looking off into the distance on the river.
Yeah.
Huh. I wouldn't have thought that was one of your favorites.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that river one.
Yeah. No, that one was just really, well, it was just like a lot of work.
Yeah.
And a
We
lot of
spent
prep.
a lot of time there.
And then getting it all listed, it all just like, it turned the vision from start to finish was there. And that was fun.
Thank you guys again for joining us for our Property Pairings episode 3. I'm well, which one would you be, Bert or Ernie?
Bert.
I'm Ernie. This is Bert. Remember to click like and subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.
Cheers.